All right, cool. So I like sci-fi and fantasy writing for children. I love it unironically and unashamedly. When I was a little girl, it was because I had a good imagination. I preferred living in the Hogwarts of my mind to living my own life in Chicago. In my college days, I intellectualized my interest in dystopias and alternate universes by exploring the ways in which stories like A Wrinkle in Time and The Chronicles of Narnia teach us about our own world. For instance, one might say that Star Wars is actually a very sophisticated argument for nuclear disarmament. The Rebel Alliance is trying to reestablish democracy after a military coup by disarming a massive weapon, the Death Star, which possesses the capability to destroy whole planets. The goal of the heroes is simply to establish the democratic ideals of this country, our country, even though they're stuck in a galaxy far, far away. Right before the election, I was having nightly panic attacks. Thank you, laughter recognition. I was counting on you. Thank you. Yeah, my mother told me she worried that my generation was overly obsessed with end of the world, apocalyptic narratives like The Hunger Games and the Divergent series and The Walking Dead, and that my love of sci-fi and fantasy were perhaps to blame for my fears. She told me that she thought because, I'm just gonna hold it. She told me that she thought because my generation has had fully realized images of various apocalypses piped into our brains by fiction and CGI, for our entire lives we've consumed too much panicky media that's made us picture the end of the world with a precision that gives us collective anxiety. Maybe my mother was right about that. That we, in a sense, have been overserved by sci-fi. Yep. Check off your bingo cards. Thank you. That we've been overserved sci-fi and fantasy once meant to be an escape. We've asked for too many cathartic iterations of the end of the world, and now our collective dream has given us shared nightmares. So, then the election happened. Everyone in my corner of the world had called the results unthinkable. Yet here we are, needing to think about it every day. And of course, my panic attacks haven't stopped. In fact, the sci-fi story that's been ringing in my mind for the past 2 weeks is obviously Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, go ahead. In that book, the narrator says, "I want everything back the way it was, but there is no point to it, this wanting." I'm starting to think that the only thing to do these days is to look to the media we used to find comforting for a path forward. I'm starting to think that all along, the point of those sci-fi and fantasy stories I love so much is ultimately to guide us in the world after we've read and watched them. They're here to remind us of our shared values in times when we might lose sight of them. They were not made to comfort us. They were not made for pure escapism. That's where the big hollow blockbusters like Transformers and the Avengers fail. They lack a guiding ethics as clear as those in stories made for teaching children. I've seen Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 3 times in the last 3 days. And it's great to return to the wizarding world of Harry Potter. Yes, I highly recommend it. The Harry Potter series is a 7-book-long plea for the power of love to prevail over the power of hate. The Death Eaters, the dark wizards who want to rid the world of everyone without pure blood, are the villains, while the diverse generation behind them, the kid heroes of the series, work to establish cross-cultural coalitions with all the various creatures of wizarding society. I think those themes are worth consideration now more than ever. Love and hate aren't opposites. The opposite of love is fear. Now, I'm trying to fight my fear because, in the words of an old Jedi master, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. For the sake of all of you, and me, and everyone we love, I hope you'll know what I mean when I say, may the Force be with you.